Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Poland Daily Travel. I have in the studio with me, did I say you are looking very well tonight? I have in the studio with me Nicholas Richardson. Nicholas, take a bow.
Thank you. Delighted to be here once more.
Thank you very much. And great Sean Connery at the close of the
Well, yes, it could be better. I need to get into the flow a bit.
I think I caught you off.
You caught me off guard, yes.
Yeah, you didn't know. You do a good John Wayne, though.
Thank you.
Harold Gore von Kursk in Tallinn.
There it is.
There he is. There he is. We call him the Bear. You look a bit like Jack Nicklaus if he wore, not Jack Nicholson, Jack Nicklaus the golfer, if he wore Tom Ford glasses. Which is a compliment, I think.
Arguably the greatest golfer of all time, along with Tiger Woods.
There you are. There you are. Okay, so Harold, if you were coming to Poland now, which is the place that you would most like to go? Having traveled all over Europe, lived in many cities in Europe, you've lived in Rome, you've lived in Paris, you live in Tallinn now, you lived in the Greek islands. Good Lord. You lived in Berlin. Where else? Did I leave something out? Madrid.
Southern France, briefly.
Southern France. You see?
Marvelous.
Amazing. The guy gets around. If you were coming to Poland, what is the city or place
Krakow.
that you would most what?
Krakow.
You would like to go to Krakow. Aha!
That means Krakow. People have told me for years this is one of the most beautiful historic cities in Europe. There's a very acclaimed film festival which takes place every year in the spring, I believe. And it's the one destination in Europe which is on my bucket list.
Right. So it's number one on your list?
In the top three.
Top three. What are the other two? Can we see what kind of company Krakow's keeping?
I've never been to Barcelona.
Okay.
Very nice city.
And I'd like
You're
to
gonna love Barcelona, kid. I sound like Larry King now? You're gonna love it, kid.
To Helsinki, which is just a 1-hour ferry trip from Tallinn.
Why don't I come visit you and we'll go to Helsinki together and maybe we can drag Nick along because I've never been there either.
Nor have I.
Oh, it's fantastic. There's a very high-speed ferry. Helsinki's a very agreeable city, I'm told, by all my Estonian friends.
Okay.
And the language is very similar. Estonians and Finns can pretty much understand each other.
Good. So we'll plan that. Nick, Krakow,
Yes.
top three.
It's a very nice city. Because it was...
Top three things to sing there.
Well, I mean,
See there.
obviously the actual old town, the central square.
The market square.
The market square is huge.
Yeah. The Rinnek.
The Rinnek, but one of the biggest.
Biggest in Europe, I think.
Yeah,
At least it was in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
And then later they may have built
Well,
some
and of
new-
course the cathedral in the corner where every hour the trumpeter plays.
The trumpet comes out. What is the name of that song?
Gosh, I should know. shouldn't I?
Hey Now.
Hey Now, yes.
Yeah.
Which stops midway because that symbolises the fact that when this was played at the time of whichever battle it was, the trumpeter was actually received an arrow through his throat or something.
He got an arrow through the throat.
So
by
that's
the,
why
by
it
the
stopped
Tatars.
suddenly. That's it stopped suddenly. The Hey
the
Now.
Tatars. There was a book I read as a kid called The Trumpeter of Krakow.
Yes.
It was written in the 1920s, so the interwar period when Poland was flourishing, and it was written by an American. And the central piece of the story, there's a lot, all the old school legendary characters are in it from Krakow, but the central piece is exactly this episode.
Yes, and of course then you have the Wawel Cathedral where many of Poland's kings are buried.
That's right.
And one recent president is buried there as well.
Yeah, Poland has 1,000 years of kings.
Yes,
and
of course for more recent
800 years.
For more recent
not
history, of course, you can go to the suburb where in fact Oskar Schindler had his factory.
You can go to the Schindler,
and where they actually did film the film Schindler's List in that quarter.
That's right.
Of Krakow.
Steven Spielberg filmed the whole film in Krakow and won an Academy Award for it.
Yes.
And people were quite certain he was going to win an Academy Award for that film, even before he started shooting it, if I remember correctly.
Yes. But I mean, the architecture is lovely. I mean, it's a marvelous, just a Renaissance sort of city.
Yeah, I mean, Krakow, the central part is pristine. It was never destroyed.
No.
I mean, I think.
What did cause more damage was not so much the war as sort of pollution from the industrial 70s and 80s.
Right, it used to be
because the communists, in their wisdom, because Krakow was always, and I think some people would even say today, was the intellectual centre of Poland. And so in typical sort of communist humour, if they had humour, or irony if they had irony, they built the big steelworks just outside Krakow, which caused a lot of pollution.
Nowa Huta, they built it on the hill
which was
purpose,
deliberately an attempt to sort of destroy the cultural centre of Poland and to sort of create this great proletariat, because it misfired badly. Because, of course, the people were very, very Catholic and very religious, and so in actual fact, it just created.
It strengthened.
It strengthened, and of course, Krakow is where the late Pope John Paul II was Archbishop.
Yes.
Before becoming Pope. So, in fact, Krakow has a key part in Poland's history.
Yes. And you can walk on the Royal Way, it goes right through the old town on Florianska Street, all the way to the Wawel Castle, which sits on a hill under which a dragon used to live.
That's
you
right.
You can still see a replica of the actual original dragon. Florida has nothing on this. I mean, we got a big alligator in Krakow. This is a real big one with fire breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, does that sound exciting for you, Harold?
Yes, it does. And I'm very pleased that you mentioned that it was relatively untouched by bombing during World War II, which unfortunately so many cities in Poland and elsewhere suffered.
Yeah, it was almost as if they looked at Krakow and they said, they were just so, over the years, invaders have been so amazed by its beauty that they wanted rather to possess it than destroy it, which I suppose Krakow has in common with Prague and perhaps Paris, right?
Well, Paris, I think it's worth noting that Hitler did give the order to destroy Paris.
But they refused.
But the general...
I think he gave the order to destroy Krakow too, and they also refused.
But the general particularly, I mean, there's a very good film made in the, whenever it was, the 60s, Is Paris Burning, which has a marvellous theme tune as well.
We should do one about Krakow. Is Krakow burning?
Yes. I'm not sure if he actually gave the order to destroy Krakow, because the Germans did use it as one of their headquarters, so probably they were a bit less keen to destroy somewhere where they were actually based.
There was actually a very good movie shot 3 or 4 years ago about this one German general who decided to disobey Hitler's insane instructions.
Very good. Hitler's insane instructions. We'll leave on that. That is a good catchphrase. And Harold, can you join us for another episode tomorrow night?
It'd be my pleasure.
Can we talk some more about Krakow?
Yes.
Okay, and maybe we can talk about some of its artistic achievements and artistic things related. I mentioned a book, but I don't think that's the main thing. Okay, thanks for watching. Hit the bell, subscribe, listen. We've got so many episodes in our library, our catalog. What is it, a library or a catalog?
I think you're more called a catalogue if it's involving film, wouldn't you?
In our catalog, and we have hundreds. I mean, this guy. This guy is amazing. I like your history.
Thank you.
Episodes, I watched them.
I wish we could do as much travelling as you seem to do, but now the weather's getting better and COVID is departing.
Yeah, I mean, I've been getting out a lot. I've been to many, many places. Perhaps I give a list of where we've been recently when we come back in the next episode. Thank you for watching, folks. You look great, and it's always good to see you.